rain into a paper cup. They slither wildly as they make their way across the universe. Pools of sorrow, waves of joy are drifting through my open mind, possessing and caressing me. Jai Guru Deva. Nothing's gonna change my world. 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 Images of broken light which shine before me like a million suns. They call me on and on across the universe. Thoughts meander like a restless wind inside the letterbox. They tumble blindly as they make their way across the universe. Jai Guru Deva. Nothing's gonna change my world. 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 Sounds of laughter, waves of life are ringing through my open ears, inciting and inviting me. Limitless, undying love, which shines before me like a million eyes. They call me on and all along across the universe. Jai Guru Deva. Nothing's gonna change my world. 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 Jai Guru Deva. Thank you. Please stand now and join us in singing Put a Little Love in Your Heart. Think of your fellow man, lend him a helping hand, put a little love in your heart. You see it's getting late, oh please don't hesitate, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait, you just wait and see. Another day goes by and still the children cry. Put a little love in your heart. If you want the world to know, if your hatred grow, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Take a good look around, and if you're looking down, put a little love in your heart. I hope when you decide, kindness will be your guide. Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you. Why you and me and me? Just wait and see. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little bit of love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Little bit of love. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little bit of love in. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little bit of love in your heart. Put a little bit of love in your heart.
That is some good music. And the first music, I said this at 9 o'clock, I'll say it again. Tim, Jay, Robert, John, that was really pretty. There's another pretty song coming up later, so stick around for that one too. I am subbing for Anna today. She's gone to Spain. I told her I would do that for her, and she could keep up with her duties here, but she decided to go there instead. But I will do that. Anyway, we're at the last week in July here. We're 2/3 of the way through the summer. It's hard to believe it's passing that quickly. There's only 150 more shopping days until Christmas, so you should start thinking about that right now. It'll be here before you know it. I do have a few announcements. First of all, welcome everybody, and definitely if you're a first-time visitor here, we are glad you're here. We hope it's a meaningful service for you, and we look forward to getting to know you. And if you're looking at us online, welcome. And I hope I don't have a close-up camera on me right now. Mona, just back off. Don't zoom in. Okay, so on with some of the announcements this week. We have the millennials. A new millennials group is starting up, and I would love to go to that group because I know so little about millennials. From what I heard, if you ask baby boomers, 80% of the people that are in that range will say they are baby boomers. Only 40% of the people in the millennials group will say they're millennials, so they're hiding something. I just really like to know what that is. Let's see, I have all my things are on different pieces of paper here. The next announcement is what? Oh yeah, their Slow Flow Yoga is back by popular demand. That's at 10:30 on Wednesdays in room 228. Next thing is, Ellen Grace O'Brien workshops, Saturday, August 17th, and Sunday afternoon, the 18th. And you'll hear a lot more about her today in Newsom's talk. Just a couple of things more. Today, there's this afternoon, there's a nonviolent communication group meeting at 2 p.m. in the green room, and the Ryan and Raleigh group will be meeting at 3 p.m. in room 215. Later on this week, this is the first Thursday in the month, and the Spiritual Frontiers Fellowship group meets here in the evening, and their planned speaker is not going to be there, so our own Marcia Walters is going to be subbing for him on Thursday evening, and also doing his workshop on Saturday morning. So for those of you that were planning to go there, just be aware that you'll have a special treat to have Marcia there taking care of that. That's all I've got. And Mimi, I guess.
Our spiritual community couldn't really exist without our volunteers. They do a tremendous amount of work here. And every month we recognize one of them. And this month we're recognizing Bill Gernon. He's been a longtime member, 12 plus years here, done a variety of things that Barbara can elaborate on. But today we want to give him a special thank you.
Yes, thank you. One of the things I want to talk about is the hiking group. He started it, he runs it, he scouts out the locations, he does the emails, he keeps on top of things. And if you haven't been on any of his hikes, I really recommend him. You're getting your exercise, you're doing it with people you love here in the congregation. You get to make friends, and because you're walking along while panning, and you get to really spend time with people. So do join the group. On Saturdays, I believe he does a little more extensive hike, and then on Sundays, he does the hike for people like me. It's a little shorter, a little easier, and we appreciate it. Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome. I just wanted to let you know that the hiking group will be back in September, I'm pretty sure. It's been on hiatus because I broke my foot. Not hiking, but I did break my foot. And while I'm up here, I want to thank Mona Garrett, I think she's out here today, for inviting me to a church cleanup in spring of 2005. Because if it hadn't been for that, I wouldn't be here today. So thank Mona. Getting to go out and work with the people at Unity is a real pleasure, and it really does make you feel like you're part of the church and the family.
So Bill is also in the choir. He's done construction. He's done a little bit of everything around here. So let's stand and give him a thank you blessing. It's our Unity blessing. We love you, we bless you, we love you, we appreciate you, we behold the Christ in you. Together? We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you.
Thank you, Bill.
Now please stand again and join us in singing the welcome song. Praises of your people, so we lift our hands and we lift our hearts as we offer up this praise unto your name. Welcome into this place, welcome into this open vessel. You desire to abide in the praises of your people, so we lift Now please take this opportunity to respectfully greet the people only closest to you. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
It's our delight to offer a prayer, individual one-on-one prayer to congregants after the service. So those people wearing these purple stoles are available in the corners of the sanctuary. So please come. They love to pray with us. I now would like to invite all of the prayer ministry to please stand and hold sacred space with us as we pray over the intentions in the prayer box. Let us pray. We open our hearts and breathe into the essence of all that is. Through the creative power of the soul, we set our intention that our higher purpose be revealed to us with ease and grace. As we awaken to our divine inherent nature and become fully present to this moment, we accept prosperity, happiness, and joy through our unified oneness. Our thoughts and our actions matter. They make a difference because we affect the well-being of all through kindness and compassion. We declare that every name in this prayer box and all of humanity has the infinite potential for thriving and are living a balanced and lovely life with compassion and kindness. We give thanks for this awareness and we bless this truth, and so we let it be. Amen.
As we begin to meditate, let's start by adjusting our posture so that we can be comfortable. And paying attention now to the breath, we can go deeper. So let the breath come and go as it will, but keep your attention on it, please. So we could use the breath also to relax some part of our body which might still be tense by breathing into that area. Imagining as the breath comes in, it expands that area, and as it goes out, out goes the tension. So using the breath as a means of relaxation. We could also use the breath to awaken certain parts of our being. So if we wanted to awaken the heart, we could breathe into the heart chakra, or we could awaken the crown and awaken the direct connection with the divine. So if we choose, we can use the breath for energizing. Let us start a thought experiment and imagining in this thought experiment what it's like to be enlightened, how we would feel, how we would act, what we would say. Imagine you are already enlightened, fully awake. And that you know yourself at one with all that is. That you are not just the body or just the mind, but are more than that. And you are awakening and awake to yourself as one with the source. And from that place, imagine how you would act, how you would feel, how you would be. As we move into the silence of this meditation, let us continue to use our imagination to experience the truth of our being, that at depth, at the core of who we are already enlightened.
us this day our daily bread. You said you would supply all my needs according to your riches. I have but to ask, and I shall receive. To go from here and share this love you gave to me, to show someone who's lost and help them find their way, the way to truth and faith, so they can be free like me, free like me. Lord, we are your love. Lord, we are your peace. Lord, we are your joy this day. This
Joke that goes like this. So the Buddhist goes up to the guy selling hot dogs. Y'all have heard this one, I'm sure. Goes up to the man selling hot dogs. He says, "Make me one with everything." And the guy says, "That'll be $3." And the guy hands him a 5. The Buddhist hands him a 5. And the man vending the hot dogs doesn't give anything back. He says, "Hey, where's my change?" And the man said, "Change must come from within." So on that poor joke, I thought I'd start this talk on prosperity. I've been thinking about it. What makes me feel poor, right? What makes me feel poor? What makes me do things that keep me from feeling the expansiveness of life, but also keep me from living fully, doing my job well? What keep me from being generous with people? What has kept me feeling bad about myself in the past? I'm not going to tell you. But it's largely the ego, isn't it? It's this part of our consciousness that kind of is an operating system, in essence, that keeps us moving around and doing stuff and remembering our name and all that sort of stuff. But this thing they call the ego, this operating system has within it an inherent bias to see the world as not enough, or see you as not enough, or just uses that phrase "not enough," or lack, or poverty of some sort. It operates on this operating system that we call I, the little I, is the one that is always telling you that you don't quite have enough, that you're not quite enough, or that the world, there's not enough for everybody to go around. This is that. It's a fantastic operating system in some ways, but also it has this flaw built into it. And it is the kind of flaw that repeats itself by creating conditions so that there's enough evidence to go along, yes, that is the truth. And it is our baseline operating system that we inherited kind of in the same way we inherited the biome of our gut. It just came to us. We didn't go out and plan it. It just happens. It comes with being a human being. That's what we get. And the process of living an abundant life is really kind of to go against this operating system and to be able to replace it with something else. And the thing that you want to replace it with is a much better operating system, one that says that you're enough, you yourself are enough, that there's enough in the world, and that you can prosper if you put yourself out there. And that's essentially the awakening process, where you awaken to a different aspect of yourself, a more primary aspect of yourself, your divine self, the self that came into incarnation, that took on a bodily form, and incidentally took on this ego at the same time. It was here first. This is the source of your existence, and it is connected. It is the same as, it is one with the source of everything. And it is like hooking up to the internet. It's dialed in with everything, and it is super smart and has incredible possibilities with it. But we tend to stick with this ego, this operating system, which keeps saying over and over, you're not enough, as its default position. So if you want to get out of that, you need to break the cycle. And this book called The Jewel of Abundance that we're going to be reading for the next 3 or 4 weeks, that's written by Ellen Grace O'Brien, who's going to be here in 3 Sundays. This is the Vedic tradition. Vedic is the Old Testament, you could say, of India, the Old Testament that tells you how you're supposed to live. And it has a prescription to how to get beyond this default operating system which we were born into, and give us a new one. And the way you do it begins with this idea that essentially there is enough. You must kind of approach this change kind of by deliberately changing your mind to say, no, there is enough. There is enough, that I am enough, that abundance is a natural condition, and if I would really look around, I could see it, and I choose to see it, and here's how I'm going to do that, is I'm going to pay attention. First of all, look at nature, especially in North Carolina in the summer. Do you think there's enough green out there? How about enough moisture? Heat? Insects? Come on. There's plenty, right? We don't need more. We got enough. But in general, there is enough. And one of the things that has helped me really come to this acceptance is that it's not a zero-sum game, that if I get, there's not enough for someone else. It's when I think about how much energy comes through in the form of sunlight to this earth on a daily basis. It is so much more than we use. I've forgotten what the number is, but let's just round it off and say 100 times more than we are consuming on a daily basis is here. If it's only 10 times as much, if even this is only 6 times as much, there's a lot more energy coming to the earth to create what needs to be created on earth that we're not using, that we could be using, but there's more here than we can use. Since there's more here, energy than we can use, then it's just a matter of appropriating it in successful ways. So there's a lot. So that's just one way of seeing it on a physical level. Spiritual people would tell you that the world is being recreated all the time, and so it's just in a constant state of creation, and anything is possible. But just on a physical level, there's a lot of light, and there's a lot of energy that's coming to this earth. So almost anything is possible just because of that. Okay, so that's the opening salvo. Maybe it is true, there's more here than I can have already experienced and more than I have accepted for myself. How do I get it now? Well, this is really different way of thinking about it than we usually do here. Usually we talk about generosity, we talk about affirmations and denials and that sort of thing, about changing your mind. But here's another way to change your mind. This comes out of the Vedas, out of the text that we were reading, the jewel of abundance. And that is this: stop stealing. No stealing. No harm, really, but start with no stealing. And by that, I mean no stealing in any form or fashion. Of course, don't take somebody's wallet or car. But also, don't cheat on your taxes. Don't be happy when they give you the wrong change and you have more. Give it back. Be honest in all your dealings. And then even deeper, do not covet that which you don't have. Don't be envious of people who have more than you, and certainly don't be jealous. And don't be out there stealing each other's spouses. Cheaper to keep her. Abundance can't come to you while your actions are saying there's not enough. And when you steal in any form, big or small, you're saying an affirmation through your actions, there is not enough for me, and therefore I'm getting yours. So don't do that. And that sets up the conditions for your mind to begin to realize that there is enough. So you stop feeding it bad information, and this operating system starts to weaken in its control of you. So then, if you really carry this out, I'll just read a paragraph from Ellen's book. These are the do-goods. Do this, don't do that, kind of thing. This core teaching on the true wealth through non-stealing is one of yoga's yamas, the 5 spiritually based ethical guidelines for a fulfilling life found in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. Those guidelines are non-harming, truthfulness, non-stealing, right use of vital force, and non-attachment. Now you think about it, if you did all that, you'd be a long way toward changing that operating system, wouldn't you? If you were non-harming, you didn't say mean things to other people, you were kind, you were generous, but largely you didn't hurt anybody else. And this pertains to animals as well as humans. You didn't go around harming. You told the truth without harming. Told the truth as well as you can without being destructive in your telling of the truth. You didn't steal in any way at all. You used your vital energy in the right way, and you were not attached to the outcome. You'd be a long way down that path. It'd be a really long way down that path to dropping the operating system and coming in with something else. And this operating system is the thing that has told you all your life that there's not enough, and that you're not enough, and that the world doesn't have enough, and so there's scarce resources, therefore we must compete with each other to win against. And ultimately, we as countries need to dominate, cheat, steal, have wars, exploit, colonize, etc. It's been bad for the world. And if we can get over that, then we can come back to this place that we were singing along. We all got to get back to the garden, right? Do you remember that 60s or 70s song? We have to get back to the garden. We need to go back to where we were in a place of abundance, of peace, of knowing there's plenty, knowing that my success does not take from your success, but it allows you to have your own success. And likewise, my happiness doesn't take anything from you either. If I'm really happy, what are the odds are that that makes you sad? Jerk. No. You'd be a jerk if my happiness made you sad, right? It is the essence of humans is that we kind of respond in like kind to those who we're around. So if you're really happy and I come over to see you, there's a good chance I'm going to get happy at some point. I might be irritated that you're happy and I'm not at first, but if I soften that, I could come in, join you in your joy, right? Happiness is contagious, just as unhappiness is contagious. Just as laughter is contagious, so is wealth. And you're around people who are feeling abundant and finding ways to be successful, you will tend to be abundant and find ways to be successful. It just spreads. And so our success does not harm another, it actually emboldens them to do what they have chosen to do in the first place. Be yourself. Be the biggest self you can be, and that is the best thing that can happen. It's really amazing. We all want to be happy, so why not be happy and invite others to do it? A little story about happiness. Natural human being wants to be happy, wants to avoid pain. Right? Everybody with me? Anybody like it the other way around? Oh, okay. One person. No, nobody likes it that way. Everybody wants to be happy. Nobody wants to be in pain. But coming to the happiness thing, there's essentially two types of happiness, two ways of trying to get happiness. There's pleasure and bliss. And we're just going to take these Vedic terms here, pleasure and bliss. Pleasure is because something happened. You were successful. You were given a kiss by somebody you loved. You ate the right food. You took the right drugs. You had pleasure. Right? But you know pleasure begins and then it will end. Right? And who wants pleasure that begins and ends? What we really want is pleasure that begins and never ends. That's what we're really looking for. And that is the basis of religion, is to find something that brings us happiness that doesn't end. I didn't make that up. Paramahansa Yogananda said that the beginning of religion is finding something that does not end. And that's what he called bliss. And so the pursuit of bliss makes a lot of sense when you compare it with the pursuit of pleasure. Pleasure is good, bliss is better. Both of them under the umbrella of bringing you happiness. And so what smart spiritual people do is they pursue bliss, maybe not to the exclusion of pleasure, but they do give themselves time to go for that which brings happiness without the end of that, right? So how do you do that? To do that, you need to awaken. You need to awaken to your true nature. Your nature which is not seen with the body or heard in the noises of the mind, but is something that transcends that. And to do that, a way to get started and to help yourself move along the path is to imagine what it's like to be there already, to be already awakened, right? You with me? So rather than saying, oh, it's a long, hard, ugly slog, which many systems have put out there, that it will take you many lifetimes to awaken, right? Ever heard that? Or course. Maybe you'll never make it. The idea is to start with the assumption that the core of who you are, and always have been, the core, the very thing that has emanated into being you, is still there. This core, this awakened self is still there. And what imagining does is to give you a taste of that which is already present in you and that will ultimately find its full expression in you on the outside. But it is essentially drilling down and feeling the wisdom that you already know, the fullness, the abundance, the love, the connection that you already have, already are. You imagine that, and where do you imagine it from? The knowing that is already in there. So you are imagining that which is already true to be now made manifest. It's not like something you got to go out and get. It's something you have to uncover. And there's a big difference between uncovering and having to manufacture something, right? Wouldn't you rather just uncover it? It's already here. Check it out. Right? It's different than having to make it. So we do this. So we do this practice of imagining, like on a daily basis. Take 3 minutes, let's say. Take 3 minutes. Sit. Get yourself. It might take a little longer to get ready to do it, but sit and become calm and still. Do your meditation, whatever form it takes. Do your meditation and then imagine yourself already awake, already enlightened, already at one with the source, already the self and not the small self, right? Do it with your eyes open or with it closed. For me, it's easier, oddly, with my eyes open. But if I look out on the world and I see the world from the source, it's a different world than if I look at it from my operating system that says, uh-oh, what have I got to do? Right? One, all is well. And it's kind of sparkly. The other one, it's dull with highlights as to what I need to be nervous about. So, this imagination. Imagine using your imagination to create within yourself the feeling state that you are moving toward on a more permanent basis. That's a brilliant use of imagination. To feel, to sense, to know where you're already going because you're already it. Radical. And very different than what the ego would tell you. The ego would say, you're not good enough. You've done a lot of things that you should be punished for because I made you do it, because you aren't good enough, so you tried to do things that you shouldn't be doing to get what you can't already always have. It's a nice little tight package. It deals you over here. It's like the pusher. It keeps pushing you to do things you shouldn't be doing because you're feeling things that you're not enough, and you can't get to enough from the way it teaches you to be there. So you need this other path, which is just come on over and change your operating system to being the self. And it's not like you have to reinvent it. It's already made. And that's the process of becoming really abundant. You become so full that there's no way you would steal or take from another or harm someone to get yours. You're already full and complete. And that is the promise of the Vedas from ancient India, that you will awaken into your true nature as you already are that. And there are practices in this book, which I found very compelling, this book, The Jewel of Abundance, to take you there, to get you to have the awakening of what's already there. It's as though you were drilling down to the oil, and now the oil is on the surface and you can use it. It's like it's always been there. Or like sunlight, which has always been here. And now we set up these photovoltaic cells to receive the energy and convert it into something. It was already there. We haven't, it's like, it's there in you already. And so when we come up here and we have Bill Gernon get up here as one of the volunteers and we say, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold what? The ego in you? Nay. The Christ in you, the source, the being that you really are. We choose to see each other as that. And when you're as generous as that, is to choose to see it in others, then the world around you ceases to be dangerous. Emmett Fox said, if you will do that, no one will attack you at all. If you continually look upon the world as though each person you see is the self, not the small self, then the world will be such a safe place. You will go anywhere and no one will bother to harm you. You have become a container for that experience of love and fullness. And so why would they do anything to hurt you either? So just to review, I think basically we opted for this lifetime. And when we came in, we got something that has been kind of good and kind of problematic, and that's your ego. Now, when the ego gets replaced, it can still operate. You'll still have a name. You'll still remember your favorite friends and foods and stuff like that, but it won't have to dominate. And then if we want to get out of that operating system, the way we do it is we live it in such a way that we do not reinforce it. So we do nothing like stealing or harming others, from which will only reinforce the idea that you're not enough. We stop that, and then we bring ourselves through our imagination into a precondition of living it out all the time by imagining it already, practicing it in our imagination so that we might be more inclined to act that way when we're in the outer world. And as we act that way and as we practice that, we replace this operating system with a system that's full of abundance and love and joy. And that becomes our new experience. And we become happy because now we're in the fullness of it, and we don't need the little pleasures to make us happy that come and go. Although we may have them, we have this full abundance, this peace, this grand experience of happiness that doesn't have a downside. And being that person, then, we are the one who invites all the other people in our sphere of influence to have the same experience. And we all go home singing, Alleluia. And that's the way it goes. Let us pray. Let's begin again. Let's imagine again. Let's imagine that we are already enlightened, awakened, and fully alert to the true nature of our being, that we are divine beings, or the divine being, having a particularized human experience. How does that feel? How does it feel to imagine yourself as fully awakened, peaceful, abundant, wise? This is your true nature. The truth of who you really are. itself. There is no lack. Jesus once said, "Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all things shall be added unto you." All things shall be added unto you from this place of fullness. Let it be so. Ramana Maharshi said, God, Guru, and self are all the same. And so it is. We are that. I want to talk to you a little bit about Ellen. So Ellen's coming in 3 weeks. I like Ellen. It's not surprising, really, when you hear this little story. So I was married once, for 20 years. But before I was married, my wife was married to somebody else. She divorced him, and then sometime later he remarried, and he married Ellen Grace O'Brien. So I was just looking at Ellen's face when I got here this morning. Her face doesn't look that different than my first wife's face either. It's weird, isn't it? It's like, I guess when you find something you like, you keep up with it, So anyway, Ellen's been here a few times, and every time she's come, I've wanted her to do something, and this time she's going to do it. So, she is in the lineage of Yogananda, who came here in the 20s, I think, and then lived here most of the rest of his life in the United States, and brought the wisdom of the East here. And one of the things that he brought was Kriya Yoga. Kriya Yoga is a revived ancient tradition that started probably not more than 100 years before Yogananda. Anyway, this is a very powerful form of meditation and practice. And it's not taught by anybody around here that I know of. So you need a particular teacher, because it's kind of like trade secrets. And they just don't put it out there for everybody. And they think you should be in the lineage before you do it. And so she's going to come here, and she's going to do a training in Kriya Yoga. And then you could be invited at the end of it, or there's probably a standing invitation if you choose to do it, afterwards. So you would learn some of the techniques, but you'd also be brought into this fold of the Yogananda, the tradition that Yogananda's in. Now, Michael Singer wrote a book called The Untethered Soul and The Surrender Experiment, and we have used both his books as book studies here. People really loved what he did. His style of yoga, which this is not hatha yoga, it's not body yoga, it is soul yoga, where you bring your soul in alignment with the divine. His form of meditation for that is Kriya Yoga. So you've had some experience of the outcomes of this very rapid way of meditating. It is not passive, it's quite active. And if you're interested, then she's going to do that the Saturday before she's here, which would put it the 17th of August. Anyway, it may not be for you. If it is, this will be a good chance to do it. Okay, let's do a blessing of our gifts. So, in the unity tradition, and in all traditions, it is considered a step toward prosperity is to be generous. And one thing I have noticed when I have been generous is I feel rich. And when I stop being generous, I start to feel poor. And since events tend to follow the way you're acting and feeling, that if you practice generosity, I think you have more chances to be rich than you do otherwise. So don't be cheap. Let her rip. Okay, let's bless it though. Together, divine love as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, guys.
I believe for every drop of rain that falls, a flower grows. I believe that somewhere in the darkest night, a candle glows. I believe for everyone who goes astray, someone will come and show the way. I believe. I believe above the storm, the smallest prayer will soon be heard. I believe that someone in the great somewhere hears every word. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry or touch a leaf or see the sky, then I know I believe.
Okay, let's invite the youth to stand and receive this blessing. You know, I was thinking about this morning, so y'all forgive me for a moment here. I was thinking, you know, we should probably add to this, you're not the center of the universe, but you are loved, special, and important. Okay, let's say this. We'll just say the regular. Yeah. Okay. From our hearts to theirs. Together. You are loved, special, and important, just the way you are. And so let's join hands and we'll sing the peace song. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Enjoy your week.